Morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's assembly. Last week, Mr. Davison spoke to you all about cultural capital. If you haven't already checked that out, please do, as it was a really good one. And each of our assemblies this year will take a different area of our personal development curriculum that you can see here, and we'll try to unpick some more detail around it. So this week I want to touch on this idea of health, and specifically we're going to explore the online world and in particular this concept of fake news. But we'll begin, as we always do, with each of our online assemblies, and that will be with a prayer.
Father, thank you for your word of truth that sets me free and deposits faith in my heart. I lift up my eyes to you. I turn my focus towards your word and invite you to have your way in every area of my life in Jesus' name.
So the news has changed. Audiences no longer react to the news. It's actually the news that is reacting to the audience. A good example of this is back on September the 5th in 2012, there was an earthquake here in central Costa Rica. Now, it took 60 seconds for the tremors of the quake to travel from the epicenter in the middle of Costa Rica right down into Panama, which is at the bottom of this picture. Just 30 seconds later, news of this, or the earthquake, was shared on Twitter. Now, that means theoretically anyone across the entire world was now aware of this earthquake. Before social media, this would have taken hours, maybe even days. We've seen the emergence of documentary instincts. We all do it now. When anything happens, and this could be mundane, we reach for our phones and we record it. And then, importantly, we share it. As a result, there are huge volumes of data now going up. Every minute there are over 72 hours of new YouTube footage. There are 58 photos a second uploaded onto Instagram. By the time I'm finished even recording this video, there will be an additional 700 hours of YouTube videos without even counting this one. Now, the problem with these huge volumes of data, or more specifically news, going online, is that it's become quite hard to find the good stuff. Now, the images here were shared in the aftermath of Hurricane Sandy, which swept across the iPhone capital of the world, New York, back in 2012. This helped to create a perfect storm, and yes, the pun is intended, for fake news. So, just to clarify, these are fake photos of New York. This is not what actually happened. One of them comes from the movie The Day After Tomorrow, and one of them is completely ridiculous. I'll leave you to figure out which is which. And this is where we can see a change in the roles of news reporters. Instead of going and finding information, their job now is about finding correct information, separating fact from fiction, and limiting the spread of false information. So here are some common examples of fake news. It could be people on social media sharing posts about a celebrity who has died when actually they haven't. Or sometimes in a breaking news situation, like a terror attack, you get a combination of well-meaning people sharing photographs that aren't actually from the location. Sometimes you get more hostile users as well that are sharing their own posts to try and further their own agendas. If we're not checking what we're sharing, then we become part of the problem. News is about trust. The more exposed we are to fake news, then the less we begin to trust real news. This often leads to clickbait, eye-catching but misleading headlines designed to get people to click on links. Its purpose can be to generate clicks and advertisement money, but it can also be used to influence public opinion with headlines that appeal to our beliefs. This happened a lot during the 2016 US election, where fake news about the candidates spread and could have influenced the public on how they later voted. Donald Trump has used the term fake news more than 2,000 times since the beginning of his presidency. That is only likely to increase significantly during this upcoming campaign. But the issue is that we need context. Now, he's likely to use this every time there is news that he doesn't like. It's very simple for him to say that's fake and push something back rather than answer real questions. The problem really is that he's able to do this and that he can create enough doubt in his own supporters' minds that they'll go along with him. That's what fake news does. It undermines real news it destroys trust. In 2017, fake news became Collins Dictionary's word of the year, and it's remained in the headlines ever since. And although the phrase might appear to be a modern invention, examples of it can be found throughout history. In the mid-1700s, the printing press, which is the newspapers to you and me, helped spread fake news about George II, who was the King of Great Britain and Ireland at the time. The king was facing rebellion and relied on being seen as a strong leader to make sure that the rebellion didn't succeed. Fake news about the king being ill was printed from sources on the side of the rebels, and it didn't take long before these stories were seen by other printers who then republished them. This harmed the king's public image, and although the rebellion wasn't successful, it showed how fake news can be used to try and change people's opinions. Fake news isn't new, it just has far greater reach and speed than it ever has before. So, how can we limit the spread of fake news? WhatsApp, by some distance, is the biggest messaging app in the world. Millions of us use it as our primary source for sharing. It comes as no surprise then that there's a fair amount of fake news that gets spread on the app. Well aware of its influence, WhatsApp has been proactive recently in terms of taking steps to address these half-truths and their spread across the world. It's brought in a range of changes that will affect primarily frequently forwarded messages. These are the messages that have been forwarded more than 5 times. Users will be able to do this, but only once. That's down from a previous limit of 5. WhatsApp hopes that this will discourage blind forwarding at a bigger scale. Theoretically, we can still forward the message to more people, it's just that the process isn't as straightforward as it was before. And, as previously, messages that are not original continue to have a forwarded tag to remind users that this message is something that is being shared. It's likely that simple steps like these will become more and more common across other social media over the next few years, and I hope help to limit the spread of fake news. So, how can we spot fake news? Here's a few ideas. 1. We need to train our intuition. The classic advice still rings true today. If something is too good to be true, then it usually is. Things that sound the most surprising are often the things that need to be checked the most carefully. So it's important to develop a sense for when something needs to be double checked before we pass it on. 2. Actually read the article. It sounds obvious, but most of the news online is passive in the sense that we only really see the headlines as we scroll by. If we actually stop and read the article, it will often offer clues as to its credibility. That begins to trigger our sixth sense, and we get better and more familiar at detecting fake news. 3. Check the source. If the source of the news is an outlet that can be trusted, and a common one here in the UK is the BBC, it's got a reputation for being credible, then we can usually rely on it. If it's a blog that you've never heard of before, then it might be important to dig further around to find the primary source of the information. The text of the article should give you some clues here. Does it mention the story was originally broken by another outlet? Is the story being reported elsewhere? If the story is about a report published by a government department or an organisation, can you find it on their website? We need to become familiar and routine at looking behind the story. As we develop those skills, we'll become more able to identify and spot fake news.
So before we finish, I'd like to leave you with this thought. The internet is running like a torrent. There's so much information online, and it's become harder and harder to filter than it's ever been. But remember, truth is a value. It's emotional and it's fluid. Often we can't see truth online. And so there's 2 lessons here really. Number 1, be careful what you read. And number 2, perhaps even more important, be very careful with what you share.